part 2 of And Still I Rise with Brother Waymon. So we left off last week, or we left off the first part, talking a bit about his experience growing up, and when he moved away to Los Angeles to find his life very challenging there. And he connected the fact that, you know, he's from a large family of 9, the 7th of 9. And so, Brother Waymon.
Hello.
Welcome again. You know, we got to keep it real, because there are people that are listening that's wanting to grow, that's wanting to be a better human being than what they know, that wants to see their children healthy and grow, healthier and stronger than even they. You know, because I like to say that we are cleaning up what happened in the generation before. I'm doing my mother's work. I'm continuing to do what my mother couldn't do in her time. And so we are all given a very big responsibility, because sometimes we leave our home bitter and unsure of who our parents are and why they do what they have done to us in ways that made us seem like our lives is more complicated. You know, because we live in a system that has been narrated by a group of people that brought us here against our will. So to find our own voice, our own meaning, and our own way to live amongst the system that we really should not still be in, it is a challenge. And so, because they have a louder medium, they have a louder loudspeaker, they have a louder everything. And so our voices, especially when I think of parenting, because I'm not just a mother, but I'm a grandmother. And, you know, who loves your children more than the parents? You know, I love my children more than oftentimes even my own self, because we want them to succeed us. And so that may show up in ways that is in conflict sometimes with what they hear from the media, from the TV, from the schools, from their jobs, from just their surrounding outside of our home. And so it's only time will teach them, and sometimes it's a challenge then for them to get the answer. So, but the lessons must be taught, and to those that receive it, then they become victorious, I would say. So let's continue talking, if we would, about, you know, your growth and how things became to be as you left home early to go live somewhere far away. What happened?
I just I didn't have any understanding about what I was, who I was, what I was going through, why I was going through it, and why there was such a disparity in between the people who seem to be doing okay and us. And sadly, it wasn't until I unfortunately took a life that I can't give back. Went, you know, that was my introduction into the prison system. And I thought that when I went to prison, that I was going to be there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, having to deal with other people. That was the stupidest fear I could have ever allowed myself to concoct. Because once I got to prison, there was nobody there for me to deal with but me.
Whoa.
And what was going on with me? Because if I was angry prior to the killing, during the killing, I'm extremely pissed now. I'm in prison.
Right. Right.
I'm more murderously pissed.
Wow.
Now that I'm in prison. And I don't understand why I'm feeling and reacting the way that I'm acting hostilely, other than I have aggression. I don't know where it's coming from, other than the experiences that I've had prior to prison.
So that's like the subjugation of your life.
Yeah, and then I'm trying to leap out of my brain to find out, you know, okay, I was born to a lady that was born to a lady who was born to a lady who was born to a lady. And I found that all of these ladies, I'm 60 years old now. I was born in 1960. That all of these ladies can be traced, their family and their issues and their experiences can be traced back to these breeding plantations that they had more of than cotton plantations or tobacco plantations, because only a few, relatively few plantations produced harvests. Because harvest at that time was in its infancy.
Right.
There was really no way to even transport harvest and keep it fresh back then.
Right.
And so
cotton was a big thing.
So cotton was a good thing. You know, they had, because you know, it had shelf life.
Right.
Tobacco was a good thing. It had good shelf life. You know, meat, not so much. You had to pack it in salt. That said, in having that knowledge of history, my parents' parents, and my parents' parents was on breeding plantations.
Were you able to verify that also?
I don't have to.
Just knowing?
I don't have to.
Okay.
Because that's what was happening in Arkansas and Oklahoma.
Okay. Wow.
Because slavery migrated.
Yes, definitely.
You know, it didn't stay where it initially stayed, you know, at Plymouth Rock and blah, blah, blah. No, it permeated because white people said, oh, I can get a couple of niggas and I can win.
Yes.
And because just as they have puppy mills, they didn't have puppy mills back then. We was the puppies.
Exactly.
And I don't know if, you know, black people are really trying to embrace this horrible reality that for white people, we were their puppies. We were bred like puppies, like animals, and were sold all over the world. We were sold, you know, because, you know, black people got good stock and bad stock too, just like horses. All black people ain't healthy and strong.
Right.
The big bucks. They got some black people that are frail and small. You know, only good for housework. Right?
Yeah.
They were breeding for that because they thought that they could trust, at least if they was somebody that could treat them a little bit like my kids, a little bit like my kids.
Got my blood.
Like a little bit. You know, but not too much, but a little bit. You know,
the effects of that still shows up today.
So then I started asking myself, well, here was all my life, I didn't know what the butcher knives and the violence was about. The grits, the hot grease, you know, the carob syrup, you know, somebody, you know, heated some carob syrup in a pot where, you know, you make the candy apples and poured it on somebody sleeping because they slapped her, you know, when, you know, it wasn't cool.
Right.
And, you know, just the whole wholesale cartoon violence that was going on in my house, and I'm thinking it's just going on in my house, it's going on in every house in the projects.
Exactly.
Everything is being played. You know, kids come out of the house. Did you get whooped last night? I got a whooping last night. I got beat with an ironing cord. I got beat with an extension cord. I'm going to school with welts all on my back like a slave. I'm not understanding why that's cool with my parents, whoever they are. I don't understand why black people is cool that they can sit around and talk about and glorify. Yeah, I whooped his ass and I beat him and he ain't gonna never and I'll kill him. I told him I'll take your life. You know, what are you doing to your kids? What are you doing to your kids? And then I asked another question while I was in a group in prison. I asked them, brothers, can you tell me truly what your greatest fear is? Is it the white man? No. The white man is not my fear.
Wow.
Is it dying? No. Because there's nothing we can do about dying. When it comes, it comes. Just like life. We had nothing to do with it. It came, it came.
Very good point.
Death comes, it comes.
It comes.
Okay? So we ain't scared of life. Being brought into the life.
Right.
We ain't scared when we brought into the life. We ain't scared when we go out of the life. Okay, so what are you scared of, man? And all of us sat down and wrote it down. We wrote our fear down. And all of us basically came up with the same fear.
Our mothers?
You would think so. It wasn't people at all.
Audience.
It wasn't people. You may think you're afraid of people. It's not people that you're afraid of at all, brothers.
It's your sense of your own self.
This is what you fear. You fear being put in a situation by another power to feel helpless. Because when we were being treated kind by our mother, and she put us down, and she had to go back in the room and have sex with some dude she don't even know to get pregnant again. And you only gonna be with her until she weans you. Once she weans you, you finna be taken somewhere else and dealt with in another matter. You may see her, you may not see her no more. What does that do to the child's psyche? What does it do to the child who has the child's psyche? Where we begin to feel, do we have a responsibility to educate the child? Well, them people took the responsibility of educating your child from you. Don't they do it now?
Yes, they do. Don't
they do it now? Don't they take us away from our mothers when we were 5 and take us to a building and brainwash us about stuff, about us, that, and tell us about them, but don't tell us about us? Because there was no time in elementary school where anybody told me, hey, bruh, your people come from breeding plantations. And so your family got breeding plantation behavior. And all they know is breeding plantation behavior. And so they keep passing, because they passing down the conditioning that they've been getting. And so whatever they learning on that plantation, whatever they seeing on that plantation, and whatever they have been brainwashed to believe is cool or tolerable. And one of the things that they was told to believe is that no matter what we do to you, ain't nobody coming for you. And that's when they was bringing this. They had the males come out and strap the sisters to the hitching post, to the whooping post or the horse post, and tie them and cut the babies right out of their stomach and tell them nobody's coming. We don't get in trouble for this, because to us, you're animals. So you could go get a puppy and cut the puppy and kill the puppy and don't tell nobody. The other dogs ain't gonna call the police. You can go kill animals right in front of each other. Ain't none of them calling the police. So this is so when I got to prison, my first enlightenment was I'm suffering from arrested development chronically. I'm chronically, as a human being, I'm suffering from arrested development. Because one, my brain ain't never been on this earth before. Why has it been subjected to that kind of madness? Why did it have to feed on that to grow? And how retarded did it grow from that? And you think it's about everybody else's? You think it's everybody else? It ain't everybody else. It's what's been put in you and how you're vomiting out the madness and repeating the madness. So if you having an issue with your girl, you only having an issue with your girl, bruh, is because when she's talking to you, you feel helpless.
You see your mother. You see
You
whoever,
feel
whichever
helpless.
woman was in your life.
You feel helpless because you were raised by a female who was made to feel helpless. You didn't see what they did to her in them rooms, in them doors, behind closed doors. You didn't see what they said to her. You know, you didn't get a chance to hear what they said to her to trick her out of her legs, to trick her out of her life, to trick her out of her soul, to trick her out of her humanity, to trick her, you know, people didn't see what they, so when you see and I see now that, you know what, the reason why my mother has so much mental illness is because her mother had mental illness that she passed on. Her mother's mother had mental illness that she passed on because they didn't have psychotropic medications on plantations. They wasn't treating anybody with psychiatrists and psychologists. They let them go ahead and live out their trauma and pass it on to whoever, because we wanted to understand that, first of all, fear comes from the mother. These white folks ain't cool.
Say that again.
These white folks ain't cool. Fear comes from your mother.
Right.
Fear don't come from the world around you. Because if your mother is afraid of something, whatever she's scared of, you're going to be scared of too. Whenever she went inside them dark rooms and them white dudes was running up in her, bruh, she was scared. Bruh, she passed that on to you. She passed that on to you. These white folks ain't cool. They scared you to leave these white folks alone. Leave these white folks alone. They ain't cool. It's some of them, they dark. Some of these white folks is dark. They come from dark places. Some of these white folks is dark. Some of these brothers is dark because they the descendants from the white folks' madness. See, we are the descendants from the white folks' madness.
They know us.
They know us.
But we know them too.
They know us.
When we're awake.
They know us. They know us. You know, we can go to prison and do deviant things as black people. We can go in prison for deviant things. Deviant things. And the more deviant things you do, the more kinder and the more softer and the more gentler they treat you in prison. Dig that. Dig that. They treated Charlie Manson like velvet, like cotton. He had everything at his disposal. How do I do that? How do I know that? Because me and Charlie talk just like me and Miss Roshumba talk. I know him like I know her. I know him. We all talk. Charlie Manson, the Menendez brothers, I worked on their case. All of these people that you guys hear about, I've sat down and talked to these people, whether they was black, whether they was Mexicans, because Mexicans and blacks are the only people in this country that were specifically bred like puppies on rancheros and on plantations. Same thing. Same thing. And so, anybody who has read anything about animal husbandry, you'll know that you can raise 4 of the same puppies that came out of the mother and put them in different environments and bring them back together when they're older, and they won't know each other.
They will not know each other.
If you leave them in the same environment, they'll kill for each other. not because they're loyal to each other, it's because the environment demands it. Just like in prison, you go to prison, there's people there, we are the most horrible people, supposedly the most horrible people on the planet, and shouldn't trust each other and don't deserve trust and blah, blah, blah. But when you put people in prison together and they come and they begin to understand that they suffering from the same, we don't know what it is yet. Because we have been so sanitized, historically sanitized in this country. It's hard to be nice to people who had your people, breeding like dogs. Why are these women out here having 15, 16 kids? Because I know females in Stockton from the same family, from my same family. There's one that got 10 kids. She started having kids when she was 12. And they idolized that. They glorified her for having 10 kids.
When you say they, your family or the
black folks, the
black
community
folks?
got black people.
Okay.
Oh, that sister had 10 kids. That's a good sister.
Yeah.
She's a strong sister. And now I didn't understand till now that, man, that's the same thing that the plantation masters were saying to them sisters that could have 10 or 15 kids. She was a money maker because there's so many females that have a kid and drop dead before the baby even come out.
And just to kind of piggyback on what you're saying right now, it's like the system is starting to get fed up with it. That there are too many black children being born to the point now that there's a real problem with black women, no matter if you're wealthy or not, carrying a child full the way through.
Yeah. Well, here's what I believe.
Is that connected?
I believe that it's emphatically connected. And the reason why it's emphatically connected is this. When you have a mentality that's being imposed through legitimate force and fear. We're doing this to you tonight. Don't make us do something to you tomorrow worse. It's just me tonight. You act it out. I'll bring some of my partners up in here. You better shut up and go sit down. You know what I'm saying? You don't know, you don't know. You just don't know. But this is how I feel. There's a systemic system of making people feel humanly and emotionally expendable. There was a built-in system that had people believing, not just feeling anymore, but believing that they were humanly and emotionally expendable. When people started feeling humanly and emotionally expendable, Nat Turner, Marvisi, when people started feeling humanly and emotionally expendable, David Walker wrote, articles of the colored people, trying to wake people up, and they were dying for that book. They were dying over that book. There were a sector of non-savage white people that started, shutting down that behavior and calling out the behavior because it was the bullies. 80% of the white people in this country, I believe, are the salt of the earth people.
Are the what?
The salt of the earth people.
Okay. What do you mean by the salt?
The salt of the earth. They're genuine.
Yes. 80%.
They're 80% of the people in this country. White people. Just the Europeans.
Right.
That are just as new here as we are.
Yeah.
Right? We're not all, we're not Aborigine here. We're not. No. We all came from different sectors and locations.
Based on economics.
Based on economics, based on finances, yes. And based on
Power.
I would never think that somebody could sit in a room and drink some hard whiskey and say, hey, why don't we start breeding humans for slavery?
Exactly.
I don't think anybody black in Africa that was a part of the black continent of Africa, because they have non-blacks there too.
Sub-Saharan.
Yeah, they have non-blacks there too. People think all Africa is all black. No. Even those people, when you go among those people, they were the last people that would be sitting around saying, hey, why don't we find a sector of our own people and breed them like puppies and then sell them to America? No, nobody did that. Somebody white sat back and said, you know what, the only way we're gonna get some help is we get them over here, and then we get a certain amount of them over here, try to bring as many women as you can. Because for every 5 women, all you need is 1 good buck.
And I like what you just said, because you see, when you take a stock of history and understand before they were able to even infiltrate into Africa, into the central parts of Africa, we have to know that first, we all know that life began in Africa and East Africa. We must know that. But over time, with the migration and so forth, those that ended up in the north above Africa, to the east and to the west, over time, we understand that connection. There are certain people that came out doing certain things, wanting certain things, craving certain things. There are certain people that are vegetarian eaters. There are certain people that are meat eaters, and darn near we're all meat eaters. So there's this element that says, I'm an explorer. I want to see what's out there, especially if you ended up with a smaller piece of the land. Because we know Africa is second largest continent, I would want to say, but one of the most unique because of the way it's situated with the equator right down the center, the north, the south, the cool, warm.
Why is it shaped like the heart? Because it was the center of all other continents when this was Gondondolo.
Exactly.
And so we understand how it pulled apart, everything apart from Africa. Everything pulled apart.
Exactly.
So yeah.
That's why I was saying that there are certain people that do certain things, and if the world could be kind enough, if people really did fully have a heart and not be some, I would say, clones. There's some that are clones. And in my spiritual growth, I said, not only are they clones, but they're there to measure the humanity of those that really have the fullness of humanity. And I would say that because day and night, I go back to day and night. It's the night. It's like right now, day before yesterday, the 21st. That's when we made the shift from going to the longest day. And right after that day, that's solstice, by the way, it started its descent back to decline back to darkness. And we have that every night today. And so when night comes, when the evening is going and the sun is going and night comes, there is this fight. And one has to measure themselves with that. So to see wrong and to do wrong, to see right and to do right, there's this fight each of us have every day. Can we do what is right?
That's Quran. I just want to interject right quick, because when people are speaking to me now in my life, I watch what they're saying over the Quran that I have in my mind.
Okay, so you're Muslim.
Yes.
Yes.
We all are.
We're all Muslim.
We're all believers. You're gonna believe in something.
Yes.
So we're all believers. So yes, we're all Muslims.
Believer.
Now, are we all mu'min? Are we all practicing the Islamic faith according to the Quran? No. But are we all Muslims? Yes. So there's a difference.
Did that help you a lot while you were in there? Did you go in Muslim, or did you
in
find
19
your faith?
in 77 I was in San Quentin, and I was put in North Block on 5th tier was the non-affiliate, because I wasn't affiliated with any gang.
Okay. They started doing that from
And
then?
so, yeah, and so because I wasn't affiliated with any gang or region of California, I was on the non-affiliated Muslim tier. And so Muslim non-affiliated. So when they put me on the tier, they put me on the tier with people I didn't really understand or know. I ended up on the tier with these brothers. And these brothers, whatever they was doing on the street, whatever religious conditioning they were subjected them to on the street, they continued that while they were in prison. And so when I saw these brothers clothes, their clothes, prison clothes, had creases in it. They didn't have no iron in prison.
Whoa. So that was all hands.
This is game. You know, I'm thinking that this is game. You know, this is like something that I need to know. You know, and so I watched these brothers. I didn't say much to them because, like I said, I'm a big person, but I'm really quiet. I only talk to people.
And you know the difference between when you're the teacher or the student, even then.
Yeah, because, you know, when you're quiet, you're the student. And when you're talking, you know, you're always the teacher because somebody's learning from you. And so be careful that you understand that, you know, when you're running your mouth, that you're teaching somebody something that you may not really want them to know, such as, you know, the level of your intelligent dipstick. You know, so everybody has a dipstick, but some people are short oil. Some people are short intelligence. They believe that all they need is what they have. And that ain't all you need, because everybody can be beat with their ignorance. Can't nobody beat you with your knowledge, but they can always beat you with your ignorance.
Powerful. Powerful what he just ended in this session. Session 2. Brother Waymon. So, knowledge is so important. And who controls the knowledge of a people, of an oppressed people in America? We're going to touch bases on that when we come back. Who controls what you learn each day? And who benefits from what you don't know? Coming back at you. Let's talk and grow. Thumbs up, share. Leave a comment too. We're coming back at you.